Another yes, a video. Apprehensive about the subject matter, this whole free will crap. Engaging in conversation relevant to Piro and Holiday. It's just this horrid sinkhole of doom. This is no progress ever made. I apologize to those who are cranky. Yes, move along if you don't care to hear more about what determinism means, and it's the limitation of the meaning, the fact that we are robots, and how incredibly irrelevant it is to anything that matters, and that it does matter. The outcomes are significantly different. Blissful utopia, nuclear mushroom clouds. I mean, you can draw the pictures and tell the difference between this and that. And that's sort of what's at stake. What we have in our brains, what we're doing in here, is going to decide whether we have that or that. And that's the truth of it. Now, yes, all of it's a mechanical process. All of it's inevitable, and we're just doomed to read our scripts. But we have a script, and it has a whole bunch of actions in it. And all of those actions have to happen. Every single stupid one. You slip on the banana peel, and it teaches you a life lesson. I mean, this is just the facts. All of it has to be read. Every single word of this stupid video is just as important as the little butterfly's wings flapping and causing hurricanes. I mean, it's all part of the script. And yes, some pieces, you could rewrite it and it won't make any difference. Some pieces, dead, solid, hard, important. So fucking important. Judge a man based on the content of his character, not the color of his skin. Do unto others as you'd have others do unto you. You know, you can, some of the words are fucking big. They're the power. So, Piro keeps talking about this stupid willpower, which doesn't say anything, doesn't mean anything. It's just another way of saying free will without saying free will. It doesn't mean anything. It's idea power. It's the power of a theme, a notion. You slip on the banana peel, you gain the power to say, hey, I gotta make sure there's no banana peels where I'm walking. That's not power. That's action that's reaction, simply. There's nothing else happening there except the mechanical process of adding 2 plus 2. No banana peel, no folly down. No dog shit on sidewalk, no step in dog shit. No have to clean dog shit off everything in the house. It's mechanical. The entire thing. And Piro just keeps using bent words, little phraseology to evade what it is. And all his willpower adds up to is idea power. You get the idea that torturing animals is bad. I don't want to help torture animals, so even though dead animals cooked properly is yummy yummy, I'm not going to be a mean person and cause animals harm. That's idea power. That isn't willpower. It's the power of the logic. The logic is connected to obvious things like, I don't like slipping on banana peels that somebody just throws there casually and recklessly without any thought. I don't like wiping dog shit off my shoe. Truth. And I associate these other things with those things, and that's the way the brain works. So his whole film strip thing is just it's too simplistic. We're a bunch of impact craters. Your life is, you start off a certain kind of cheese, like like the moon, right? You can be hard cheese or you can be soft cheese, you know, by your genetics. And then stuff is thrown at you. You know, life starts hitting you. And depending what kind of cheese you are, you're going to get dented, or holes are going to be drilled into you, and all kinds of shit's going to happen. And you're going to react to every single thing that happens. So it has nothing to do with some film strip. It has to do with a constantly changing disposition that you go through your life with. Every minute, theoretically, you're being re-educated, informed. Your knowledge is being expandiated. You know, somebody says expandiated, and you say, "Oh, it's a new word. Isn't that cute?" Yes, you've expanded your vocabulary with the word expandiated. Every second that's happening. All right, for some people maybe every minute, but I'm just saying, thoughts and ideas are being percolated into what is. And this strip thing is just dead. There's no strip. There's just ingredients. There's just mixture. And you can be too salty, or you can be too acid, or you can be too base, or you can be, and that's all there is the mix. And it's always a mix. Something will be, you know, wonderful one day and horribly repulsive the next day, because you get sick on it or something, and for the rest of your life you don't go anywhere near it. That's our reality. Our reality isn't some strip of hard things. It's a constant molten resurfacing. New craters every day. New features of your structure. And obviously I'm going to argue that, yes, you know, for some of us, we go through a hot period in our lives, and we get all of that done. We have all of our impact craters, and and then it all goes kind of quiet. For the rest of our lives, we just say, okay, I get it. I'm on planet of the stupid fuck. And, you know, this is my lot, and blah, blah, blah. You figure out the game, and it's just a stupid game. And so, yeah, there's not much that impacts you anymore as a fact, because it's like, been there, done that. Thought about that already. Doesn't go anywhere. Alright, so I guess that would be my key response. See, I don't know how to. We're almost. The dysfunction of the conversation is so bad that it's almost like we have to use flashcards. Like I'd have to, like maybe I have to put the idea power. I have to put that on a flashcard and say that's my counter argument. There is no will power. There's the power of your compulsions, your desires, your perversions, your orientations, your mechanical, biological, chemical, biorhythm, disposition, how horny you are. And there is your moderating intelligence that says, how do I best gratify or satisfy this need to not only maximize my experience. I mean, you know, I always like turning a conversation into a conversation about wanking or something, because it's just so rudimentary and simple. But clearly you can do it well, or you can do it badly. I mean, you can squander it and do a 2-minute, or you can, you know, put on some candles and, you know, do it right. Have an interaction with your plaything. And that's what your brain allows you to do, is to know that there's a difference between, you know, a squandered and a maximized. Get the most out of it kind of thing. And, yeah, so that doesn't even need an and, but that's another flashcard thing. You know, is that there's the wanting mechanism, and then there's the How's the best way to satisfy the wanting thing? Get the most out of it. Get the most for your money. The Jew inside of you that's always calculating and saying, you know, how many pennies is that? You know, I mean, just as a practical reality. That's what it is. You're invested in life and you want to get the most out of it for the least skin rubbed off. You know, what's the least damage I can do for the maximum gratification? And that's certainly the, you know, the small-minded man that's all he's going to see. But I'm just saying that obviously, you know, if you're a little smarter, you can figure out that the bigger picture is that you're all goldfish and the game is what's best for all the goldfish. But anyway, okay, so yeah, so I don't see any. There's no. Okay, so at least Piro's conceding free will is a oxymoronic in a sense. I mean, it's a non sequitur word tied to a word of ambiguity, which is dumb. But willpower is a word of ambiguity tied to some sort of magic. You know, what do you mean power? Power how? The only power is in knowledge and facts. Facts give you power. Knowledge gives you power. You know how to play music and read music. You can play a piano, so it gives you the power to do it well. You know, you have experience doing something, you gain the power to do it efficiently. Your will doesn't do that. Obviously, your knowledge does that. Your education does that. So this is about ideas and the fact that you harden them with facts and evidence and proofs, and those ideas have the power. Knowing it's just fucking wrong to cause sentient suffering. If you can avoid it. If it's the same outcome plus suffering, or same outcome not suffering, yeah, it's a simple question, simple 2 plus 2 mathematics. Any idiot can do it. This isn't about any kind of power that we have. The power is in knowledge, understanding, getting it right. Willpower in the hands of an imbecile is shit. It's garbage. It's crap. Alright, so enough of that. For now. No doubt come back to it. So then we have the Hofladay alternative, which is this. I mean, you know, well, I'll turn the camera around and show you. So this is as far as I got, and I just stopped here and just said, what the fuck? So he does this idiot. So I'll do the QM thing in a minute, but okay, so if determinism, then no ego, same as no first person, that is no me, no I, same as no viewer persons. And you're just saying, how do you do that? How did you create those preposterous equivalencies? How does the ego go away as a mechanism? Because of determinism. I mean, the fact that my compulsions and that the sensations that manifest those compulsions, which would be part of the ego, they don't factually go away because they're completely created by the impacts of my existence, the genetic product I was, and the environmental circumstances I was subjected to. But the fact that it exists is not in jeopardy. It's a fucking mechanism. How did you do that? Alright, and then no first person, no self, no I. Of course there's an I. Of course there is a this brain. Now, yeah, I'm not saying the I is some ghost, you know, some alien running me. I doesn't mean that. Where does the dictionary say that an I has to be an alien running you or something? The I is just a way of saying this brain. Or as I said years ago and redundantly, but no one got it. No one would play along. I said, well, let's just say me brain. Or this brain. Because, yeah, this brain thinks. This brain feels. This brain has ideas. This brain has principles and notions and all of that shit. And it's a real this brain. It's not the fucking universe. It's not your brain. It's this fucking brain. Has been impacted. It is in a certain pressurized condition. It's in a condition. A real physical condition. And this particular brain it's 57 years old of conditions. 57 years of them. Well, plus 9 months. Getting kicked in the face by my sister, right? I mean, it's just stupid. What do you mean there's no I? In the sense of no brain. Of course there's a fucking brain. Of course it's you circumstantially unique in the sense that, yeah, it'd be really hard to have identical brains because it's really hard to have two moons and have them hit by exactly the same amount of meteors in exactly the same locations. So yeah, each one has a different pattern of impacts. But they're all individual brains. So what the fuck is that? How do you just pull that out of nowhere and say, I'm going to make the existence of individual brains go away by saying they're robots? Who cares? Robots doesn't mean the brain goes away. Okay, anyway. No viewer persons. I mean, this is just another one where I'm just stunned. The whole thing that our consciousness is the viewer. We don't do anything in the sense that we, the consciousness part, is tied to the fucking chair. I'm not doing any of this. I've said this before again. So it's like, what, do I have to write it on a flashcard? Do I literally have to write it on a flashcard and say, look, this is my counter argument. I don't consciously make any of this. I don't consciously create my feelings. I don't consciously speak these words that just came out of my mouth. This fucking sentence, I had no idea that was coming. My consciousness was clueless. My consciousness was clueless. I was going to just say, my consciousness is clueless. It had no idea that was coming. No idea at all. So my consciousness is a spectator. It's watching this tug of war between the motivator and the solution creating mechanism of the machine. The machine has two parts: solution maker, problem maker. And the problem is, see something, get sick. Taste the world and find it yummy or disgusting. That's what we do. We're tasting, or even vision, even it's all just a kind of taste. We're tasting the world, and we're just having some visceral, stupid, knee-jerk reaction, and then our brain says, how can I deal with that reaction? Now, some of the reactions we can say, oh, it only looks like a snake, it's not really a snake, it's just an extension cord, and it's a little dark, and I didn't realize it's not a snake. So it can make the problem go away by just saying, hey, you're being an asshole, don't get upset. Or it can go out and whack the real snake, if it's a real snake. I just, so how do you get from determinism to there's no such thing as consciousness, there's no such thing as a brain experiencing the process of experiencing the blood spatter, let's call it, of the fight between the problem-making mechanism and the problem-solving mechanism. And we're just in the audience getting splattered by the blood of that. And that's what our sensations are, and that's what our compensating ideas and rationalizations and how do I get out of this problem, how do I not look like a fool, how do I blah 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 blah, whatever the rationalizations, the bullshit is, the brain strategies. And for the more refined human, the one who has taken life a little bit seriously and picked at it and scratched at it, they're going to realize that this thought process is kind of important in terms of finding the right answer to a problem. That the knee-jerk reaction is not going to suffice. You don't fix every problem with a nuclear bomb kind of idea. You don't just nuke it. You come up with a smarter strategy. But again, so here he's arguing that this is some sort of foundational logic that he's relying on. And there's just no way he ties determinism to any idea that you can make the fact that these machines are processing. It's a fact. And they are integral, they are fundamental to the determined outcome. We must do the snowball rolling downhill, collecting the trees and all the other stuff, and then crushing the villa. You know, we have to collect these experiences that will make us say the magic words, nuke 'em, at the right minute, at the right time, for the determined inevitable outcome to be realized. We're participants, fundamental participants. All right. So, what do you want me to say? I mean, it just negates the whole argument. There's just no way determinism is so fucking irrelevant to the circumstance of the fact that there's no way to not participate. Not acting is acting. It's that simple. There's no such thing as you're not on stage and you're not part of the play. So this idea that I can be a fatalist and just say, I'm just going to let it happen. Well, just letting it happen is exactly what the inevitable end needed you to do then. Was to just be a stupid bystander. To be some asshole who didn't do anything when you had the opportunity to. That's how failure is defined, is because you didn't think, okay, that, yeah, maybe I should do something about that. And that's all it required, was the idea power. Just the idea. Knowing, hey, we're all snowballs, and my snowball can do lots of different, I can see lots of different trajectories for my snowball. Now, I'm inevitably going to choose one, but why pretend I'm going to choose the stupid one when I'm smart? Why would I think that it's possible I'll choose the dumbass route? No. So, you know, you can't negate the process, and you can't negate that the outcome is going to be dictated by how we process. And your advocacy for somehow processing is enhanced, okay, by thinking outcomes don't matter, that my 20 choices that I can see, the 20 options of what I can see as possible futures, even though one of them's inevitable, but I can see the 20 possibles, and that I shouldn't recognize, oh, this one has twice as much torture in it than this one. What path should I invest in? If it should be inevitable that you would choose the rational, less torture path. That should be part of the inevitable, determined outcome. But yes, if there's going to be torture, it'll be because you're too big an idiot to sit there and say, oh yeah, I was supposed to be paying attention. I wasn't reading my script. I decided to, you know, abdicate, which is the same thing as take up space on stage and look like an asshole. So anyway. Alright. So that's probably enough of half a day. Yeah, it's done already. It's done. Connecting determinism to the ego, to the personalness of brain function, and to the idea that we're not having brain function is just plain fucking retarded. Alright, so, speaking of retarded, so, you know, I've asked Piro in the past, don't do this on my videos. Look what he did on Hofladay's video. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 fucking separate comments. Just don't do that on my videos. I mean, it's a bad example for retards, and it's just rude. You know, who do you think you are to do this graffiti? Anyway, you know, and some of it's just such, you know, oh, forget it. You know, the comments are just, no. I'll read one. This bugs me. I say burden of proof is not on me because you said it was liking, not believing. Your version of determinism is akin to a positive belief in God. And get that. The burden was on me according to you. I say no, it's on you. Then you spend time acting like I've refused to argue for determinism, non-determinism, and other types of determinism, when obviously I've spoken at length on that. Well, again, what you speak of is higher dimensions. Use this kind of out. So I'll get to that part. So that's a good segue. Enough of a segue. But yeah, I mean, I should read his comments on my video. Just inanely useless slop. But anyway. Alright, so I've gotten rid of the film strip is whatever. It just doesn't get to the real point, which is we're constantly being reformatted. The programming is rewriting the programming, quote unquote. You know, the visions, the things the eyeball sees are changing how the eyeball sees. If I was to use eyes in its example, our brain is mixing our perceptions, and essentially how we see is going to be dictated by what we see. All right, so the power of what becomes our rigid ideas and notions fundamentally changes vision, and you can see that in the world in people. You know, the stubborn religious folk and stuff. It's, you know, they're just so, you know, the blinders are on. Their vision is skewed and corrupted so profoundly, you know, that rational arguments about facts, you know, aren't allowed to be considered. All right. Anyway, so yeah, we're defined by our experience, but part of that experience is going to be dictated. Part of that definition is going to be written by how we took our first step. It's a delicate thing. So if say it's like drawing a picture, right? And if I start with a straight line, well, you know, then I have to draw buildings or something, or, you know, I start with a curved line, or then maybe I can do a swan or something. So our first steps into life, our first reactions to impacts, are going to fundamentally, rigidly narrow paths that can be taken, and in good ways and bad ways. Again, I would argue. When the education is early and when the insights are early, like you can say some kids start with a huge advantage because they gain a little bit of they learn a little trick, a mathematical trick or something else, and it gives them a huge advantage because they're not repulsed by more complexity, where somebody else who can't master that first step, who trips on it, just never gets the hang of it. They're always a few steps behind, and they can never get with the flow. They can never get the rhythm. So I'd say that being capable of discerning bullshit from evidence, hard evidence from nonsense or storytelling or Quintica video, I hate that I even have to respond to scum like that. I mean, he made this terrible video. He uses my full name, talks about the town I live in, all this crap that's totally gratuitous. And you're saying here he's trying to demonstrate how he's not he's not the insensitive type who would call cops on somebody, and yet he just demonstrates how casually he plays with other people's personal lives. It's just he's such a fucking scary bastard. Anyway, sick motherfucker. Anyway, alright, so back to this. Alright, so then we'll get to the QM part. So Pirro is claiming that QM creates, this quantum mechanics creates some notion of a real random, like it matters. How does real random create anything called useful change? So anything you would call willpower, anything that could be called educated, or better informed, or smarter, or anything in some sort of improvement, isn't going to be created by random. A random change will make you randomly better or worse. It won't make you randomly better. So I mean, there's no, random doesn't help. Real random. Now I think it's bullshit anyway. I mean, I don't mind arguing the physics of the notion of some sort of real random generator, which is absolute crap in my opinion as a physics notion. But it doesn't matter in this argument. It's useless. Random will not get you more useful change from the unchanged state. So if we have the same conditions, his argument is, well, it's random, so the same conditions won't create the same results. But they won't create a better result, so what good is it? What meaning could it possibly have if it doesn't necessarily improve the result? So it's meaningless to this conversation. It doesn't create any advancement or improvement or any constructive or valuable in a positive way change. So it's change not worth discussing, even if it were possible. So then he also resorts to higher dimensions. And you're just like, what the fuck is that? What, how is that not magic? How is that just not saying Tinkerbell or something? The magic universe knows what it's doing because in the higher dimension, that's where the universe's brain is, and it's figured out what to do, and it's all for the best. It's painting all the silver linings on the clouds. Oh, fuck. I mean, it's just baby talk. Alright, anyway. And so what it really is, though, is changing the subject. That's why he throws this crap in. Is to change the fucking subject. Let's talk about infinite space and finite space. And what does that have to do with program machines? What does that have to, what is that, whether the universe is infinite or finite? What the fuck does that have to do with the fact that we know 99% of the mechanism here? I mean, in the sense of, we know what's biological. We know what's like the lizard, what's the gorilla, and what's the intelligent human can do. We know the distinctions between our do unto others as you have others do unto you, and grab them by the pussy. We know the difference between those statements and where they come from and what part of our mechanism they come from. So this is just changing the subject to sit there and play this game that we don't know, and that we have to, that somehow infinite or finite space has something to do with the programming of a human being, with the impacts that are its journey through a life on planet or on island, right? I mean, we were all living in our communities, you know, and you can have Dr. Seussville, you know, where you learn lots of life lessons and, you know, it's kind of good stuff. Or you can have, you know, John Wyndham, you know, be a man or else, Pilgrim. Or you know, whatever the, you know, NASCARia, Teletubbies, Cabbage Patch Dahlia, you know, all these silly little worlds people live in. Infinite space doesn't have anything to do with what people are doing 99% of the time. I mean, do I have to write that on a flashcard? Infinite or finite space has and multi-dimensions have nothing to do with 99.9999999% of the crap occupying the average human brain at any given moment of time. Alright. So it's just a change of subject. That's all it is. Change the subject from, we know it's evolution. We know the chemistry is rigid. I mean, damn rigid. No magic in the chemistry. And we know the physics is, hey, the fact that we don't, you know, we can't follow a photon into Acme, you know, and watch it buy a bag of oranges, doesn't mean that we don't know it went to Acme and it bought a bag of oranges. Anyway, okay, so I was thinking of a little metaphor came into my head to you know, but there's tons of ways of doing this. But the whole twin study thing is sort of interesting. You know, where you just take two humans and you just, you know, it'd be really cool if you could just, you know, if we could run this in fast motion and we had a simulator and it was a perfect simulator, so it got it all right. And it would be just so cool to jerk around with them, right? Just see what one little thing you could change and see how you can create a different human. You know, you start with the same thing and you just change setup. You know, you throw a tennis ball at the kid's head when he's 6 years old and see if it turns him into a hugely different person because you threw a tennis ball at his head. You know, little things, little events are going to define us. And here Piro's talking about willpower. And no, the power is throw a tennis ball at your kid's head because it might give him character. That's the real joke here, is that you might have more power in doing something preposterously silly and almost stupid that will teach somebody a life lesson that is going to be profound in its impact on who they become. There are probably just little events, 10 of them, you know, in my history that made me too cynical to find comfort, you know, on this cancerous breast called Earth. You know, Mother Earth has bastard cancer bad. And yeah, I couldn't suckle on that tit. But it's just simple little events that did that. And it didn't have anything to do with no fucking power. It has to do with the power of events. It has to do with the power of the chemistry. It has to do with the power of the fact that when you find out that, you know, how expensive this stupid folly is, it's embarrassing how bad the play is on this field. Alright. And the last thing I wrote was just tasting the environment. So that's another thing I should write in a flashcard. That our senses are all just a kind of taste. We're licking the world, you know, and making a face. You know, events happen and we make a face. You know, ooh, good, or oh, nasty. But that's what we're doing. And as I have argued, as we do this over time, we learn, we build on each other's experiences, we build on each other's reasoning. Do judge a man based on the content of his character, not the color of his skin. We build on those value statements that are solid and sensible, and so our direction can be something good, but it won't be if we embrace idiocracy, embrace superficiality, embrace just being snowballs, you know, not taking responsibility for, we can see where we're heading, we can see what's happening. Everybody can know it's wrong to borrow your children's money. Everybody can know that can't work, that can't be right. We're doing it. And people say it's okay. Well, so what? Well, so what? You know, it's not so what stuff. People got to think a little harder and realize you're not allowed to you know, lose the house at Las Vegas. You're not allowed to have these catastrophic losses and pretend you're playing a good game. Alright, so I think I've done my job here. I could play, you know, I was going to play, well, you know, I queued it up. I said I might as well play it, right, since I went to the trouble to find this stupid thing, and so I'll just play a little bit of this Puro mush.
I'm not trying to win the debate. I take part. It's sufficiently so that you can interpret it that way. But I'm trying to provoke the display of information.
Alright, so, you know, this is just, you know, this whole language, I'm trying to provoke the display of information. I just, you know, I mean, I could argue that I'm just seeking some sort of argument that actually makes sense to say I'm wrong. I'd like to be proven wrong. But I'm really not doing this to be proven wrong. That would just be silly to say that. I'm doing this because, yeah, I think the world is functioning way, 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 way below the necessary, the standard. It has to, you know, minimum standards. Way below. You know, the failure is, you know, catastrophic is the only right word.
Own information, which I then get to see reflected back in other people's information so that I could see how other people think about things.
Yeah, again, this seeing how other people think without the real issue being understanding, is there thinking? I mean, is there some ground where we can have a conversation and there can be some common language, where the flashcards are readable even? You know, that you flash the word and you don't do something to break the word and say, I own that word, that's a quantum mechanics, that's a wave word, you can't use that word, that's my word. Willpower. No.
Right. So, to me, the point, like arguing willpower with Gary and...
Right, so you're arguing willpower, I'm arguing idea power. So I don't give a shit about no fucking will crap. I give a fuck about the fact that the only thing that's good about us is the fact that we can do 2 + 2 = 4. We can do logic. We can find efficient solutions. We can find right answers. We can see the difference between right answer and wrong answer. That's the only part that I find it all interesting in any of this conversation. That's what I'm talking about, is the capacity of human beings to figure out the most efficient and best path to take. We can do that. It is functionally possible. And how come we're not?
Highlighted all these years is that by now we should know each other's positions, and I think I do a lot better knowing their positions.
Yeah, you can think anything you want, of course, and that's part of the whole problem here. That's from probably Hoffade's perspective and my perspective, that's just a ludicrous statement on your part, because you constantly misparaphrase our positions.
Do mine, like Gary just went off recently about, well, there's nothing free about it. I've said there's nothing free. Is a wrong word.
Well, you've used the word for years. You just keep backing into this compatibilism bullshit where you're just trying to find some way, well, because we think it, therefore it is. No, you can think you're free, whatever that means, all you want, but that doesn't mean your will is doing something independent of rigid confinements. And they're rigid. They're not. There's no room for anything else but confinements. That's all there are confinements. Again, as soon as I draw the straight line on the paper, the drawing's not going to be a swan.
If you're going to go with no restraints, there is restraints, and Nietzsche says this.
Oh, fucking Nietzsche! That just is such a turn-off as soon as you bring up that fucking creep. So this wisdom from poetry, useless crap poetry, where he just makes fun of other people's pants. I mean, it doesn't make a critical argument about a motherfucking thing that has any kind of rational sense to it. Ugh, it's disgusting. So again, your flashcard. I'm referencing Nietzsche again, because Nietzsche had a big mustache, and that looks kind of random.
About that as well. We're talking about strong and weak wills, with the idea of willpower.
No, you're talking about that. Again, see, you're the one saying there's some thing where some part of my brain is going to be called Mr. Willie, okay, the Willie part, and, it's not going to pay attention to my Willie. It's going to do something not Willie, anti my personal penis interest or something. Now, what the fuck does it mean? Does it mean anything? Doesn't explain any, doesn't have anything, doesn't add to a conversation about the real dilemma of self-interest, social interest. Doesn't do anything to explain how how principles and ideals are the only thing that can make us capable of acting in the better interest, the bigger interest, the future interest, that's it. Ideas are the only thing that can do that. And the power of ideas. The power of the arguments defending the ideas. And in my opinion, you're a distraction from that power with your mushy, the universe is random and there's and the other multi-dimensional and it's higher dimension. That doesn't getting to the truth. The truth is that this is a visible, seeable reality we exist in. It's describable, and you keep trying to make it disappear. You're trying to inject fog. Oh, we can't tell what the right thing is. Yeah, we can tell. Bullshit to that crap.
To not take lightly dismissal of the will, since exercising your willpower does seem to have the same effect on will as exercising your muscles.
Okay, so again, exercising this will thing, which means merely saying you have an idea, like an Anaconda, right? Anaconda has this willpower thing. Do you think he's doing anything constructive with it? His willpower is completely devoted to the self-interest. His power is my necessity. He sees any kind of compulsion he has as a necessary thing. I must satisfy the compulsion. Instead of doing any kind of willpower to say, no, my compulsion is momentary, and if I can wait 5 minutes, it'll go away. Or I can have a wank, or I can do something else to mitigate. And I don't have to be owned by it. So you're just, this is this stupid concept of saying the word will doesn't have any rational origin. It's a mushy, silly concept. There's no fucking will. There's a fucking brain, and it makes determinations. There's a fight between interests, and one of the interests wins because it can tie itself to more positive elements in your psychology. And the more positive elements it can tie itself to, the more integral it becomes to your identity and your ego and all these things, it wins. It wins on points. It's a boxing match. The judges are counting the points, and one side wins. That's not a fucking will. And the win is going to be because the idea is strong. So obviously it's a strong idea to say, hey, don't eat donuts all day, because you'll look like a donut and die when you're 25. So you can do that logic. There's no will required. All there is knowledge and acceptance of it. And what do I want my outcome to be? And also some personal experience sometimes. Like I said, maybe you're not going to be afraid of banana peels until you actually get sabotaged by one.
Is to do with your muscles. It makes them stronger. It gets easier and easier to do stuff that was difficult, less and less difficult, more and more difficult.
Right. You can build the character, okay, by acknowledging what character looks like. What integrity looks like, and recognizing what it doesn't look like, and then mimicking that in yourself and saying, how do I play that game? And so, yes, and practice makes perfect and all that crap. But there's nothing in the will that did that. It's the idea that did that. The knowledge that exercising my muscles will make my muscles look better. Function better, keep them from getting stiff and unuseful. Knowledge compels, not wills.
Past and less difficult in the future. So I would like 30 to 50 people that I converse with regularly. And
yeah, I don't know. You can't find one person to converse with regularly without them falling off the wacky wagon. But anyway, I'm not saying there aren't people I have conversed with, but see, the problem is if they don't fall off the wacky wagon, they don't say something completely stupid and ruin the whole fun. Yeah, you just basically draw all the, connect all the dots and go, yeah, this is my picture. What's your picture? Yeah, it's a piece of shit. Yeah, piece of shit. You're done. We've connected the dots. It's there. And yeah, the conversation gets kind of lame unless you're going to, like I said, me and old fan can maintain some communication because we attempt to inspire each other a bit. And motivate each other, amuse each other as little as we can, or do what we can to try to do something like that anyway. Oblige each other to try to do a little better. Don't disappoint old fan. Yeah. I mean, it's a thought that'll pop into my head. Now, it's not my will. It's old fan nagging me. So if I do something, it won't be because I had the will to do it. It's because I had, old fan was nagging me in my head. Gary, you gotta do better. Yeah, that's all. There's no power here. There's no will here. There's just ideas tied to your perception of your value, your integrity, your ego, that compel you to choose perhaps the uphill path. Doesn't look like it's much fun, but I know through knowledge and understanding that's the winner. It looks like the loser for me, okay, but I know it's the winner. That kind of thing. And knowledge allows you to do that. The power of knowledge, wisdom. I'd say understanding, but you know, see, that's the trick. You can't just say knowledge, because knowledge must be complete and contextually consistent to be wisdom. I mean, these are subtle differences in vocabulary, but that's the trick. Our vocabulary is a little bit sloppy. But we concede that wisdom is knowledge of correct knowledge, accurate, complete. Yeah, something like that. More complete, let's just say, to qualify it. Oh, I don't want to get into these qualifying definitions. So anyway, I think I did an adequate job of dealing with this mush, so I shall move on to the next bit of mush. Yeah, I haven't even finished the critique of. I just can't. It's so unwatchable. These slandering, lying pieces of shit. You're just like, oh man. There should be a rule. There should be an umpire somewhere that, you know, has a stick and he whaps the fuckers. Just whaps them for rule violations. Grotesque, obscene distortion and manipulation. Okay, anyway, till next time, and such.